I think that I know I have mentioned, and so some of you may not have heard, that the United Church has decided to have a theme for this coming year, and the talks have been suggested by the Home Office. So their theme is a world that works for everyone, and I have kind of changed that to fit us a little bit better, and that I'm declaring it a year of helping to create a happier world. So just a little bit of difference, because we are declaring that we are a happy church. So the outline today, the suggested quotes are from Kathy Hearn, who was the spiritual leader of Centers for Spiritual Living, or religious science, before the combination of the two tracks of religious science that came together a couple of years ago. And I have a great deal of respect for her. She is really a wonderful woman. And now she is the Dean of Ministerial School in Encinitas. So the topic, the quote that she starts us out with is, "Whatever is true of the universe as a whole must also be true of the individual as some part of this whole. Each of us is evolved from the universe as a self-conscious, thinking center of living spirit, and as such, each must, in nature and being, reproduce the universe." So the point is that we are all an expression of the divine, and it is inseparable. We are God made manifest, and we can pretend otherwise. We can pretend that we have an ego. We can pretend that we are individuals, but the truth of the matter is we are God made manifest. So we embrace the understanding that spirit has taken on unique and individual form as each one of us, as well as all of the things of creation. The infinite one, known by many names, has become that which we are. And rather than thinking of ourselves as two things, human and divine, we realize that we are the thing itself, human and divine. We realize that we are the thing itself, spirit right here on earth. Take that in. We're spirit right here on earth. While the various aspects of our being play in our awareness and expression, we come to realize that we are not merely human beings having a human experience, or even spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience right here in the world of form. There's only one thing going on. There's only one thing going on, and it is God, spirit, light, whatever name you want to give it. That's it. There's not this and that. There's only that one. So I was looking for a story that I could use to demonstrate that whole concept, and I happened upon the book When God Winks at You by Squire Rushnell. And he tells the story of the musical evangelist Ken Gobb. And Ken Gobb traveled with his family in two huge motorhomes all around the country. And he was tired. And he was wondering whether what he did really made a difference. Was that really what he needed to be doing? Was he expressing his divinity by being a musical evangelist and traveling around the country? So his family decided that they would take a stop. They were near Dayton, Ohio, and they were all hungry and needed to go get something to eat and have a cup of coffee and take a rest from driving. And because Ken was wrestling around with his spiritual values and really wondering whether he was doing the right thing, he decided not to go get a cup of coffee, not to take a break. He decided that he would go for a walk. And because they were also getting gas, he sort of wandered through the parking lot of the gas station, the filling station. And as he was contemplating his future and contemplating his value as a musician and as an evangelist, he passed a payphone and it rang. And it kept ringing and ringing. And he thought, you know, this is really weird. It's obviously a wrong number. But it rang. And it caught his attention, and he thought, what if somebody really needs to know that they called the wrong number? So he finally answered it. And he said, hello? And a voice on the other end of the phone said, I have a person-to-person call for Ken Gaub. And he sort of looked around and he thought, you know, am I like on candid camera? What is this? And he said, well, you're calling a payphone. And the voice said, this is the operator. I have a person-to-person call for Ken Gaub. And from the other end of the line, some voice said, that sounds like him. And the operator said, is this Ken Gaub? Oh, yes. And he's still looking around and thinking, somebody's playing a trick on me. Who could this be? Here I am out in the middle of nowhere, and some random payphone rings, and it's a person-to-person call from me. That's too weird. So the operator once more said, is this Ken Gaub? She's getting impatient by this time. And he said, well, yes. And she clicked off and said, you know, go ahead, please, and clicked off the phone. And he said, hello? And a woman on the other side of the phone said, this is Millie. She said, you know, I was getting ready to end it all. And a voice came to me and said, call Ken Gaub. And he said, but how did you know to call this number? And the person that he now knew as Millie said, it was just a number that came to me. And so they talked for about 10, 15 minutes. And they both decided that Spirit had certainly intervened in their lives. And it was hard for them to know who was saved by this call, Ken Gaub or Millie. He was re-energized because she had heard him on television and was moved by him and thought, if anybody could give meaning to my life, it would be him. And he was thinking, if anything could give meaning to my life, it would be this call. Now we can say, what a bizarre coincidence. You can say that if you choose. However, the truth of the matter is, we are all it. It's not that one person was in need and another person answered the call. It was Spirit moving for a higher and better good for its expression. So please know that Millie kept on being Millie, and she came to visit him a couple of times and said, I am Millie. Thank you so much. And he was re-energized in his ministry and being an evangelistic musician. They both came to realize that they were so deeply connected in ways that they could never really understand. That's how we are, spirit. That's how it all works. If we still ourselves, quiet our mind, amazing and miraculous things can happen to us. But for whatever reason, and there is one, I'm sure, we believe in separation. We believe in our ego. We believe in our individuality. And so we chit-chat about the God that is out there, the divine that is separate from me. And the truth of the matter is, we're it. It cannot be otherwise. So, another quote from Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind. When we learn to trust the universe, we shall be happy, prosperous, and well. God is always God. No matter what our emotional storm or what our objective situation may be, there is always something hidden in the inner being that has never been violated. We may stumble, but always there is the eternal voice, forever whispering in our ear, that thing which causes the eternal quest, that thing which forever sings and sings. There is something within us that can never be violated. There is that core, our essence, that can never be touched by our belief in human foibles, by our belief in pain, by our belief in abuse or anything else. There is that core of us that is sacred, that can never be violated, that is protected, that is the recollection of our divinity. That part that sings and sings, the music of spirit. And when we're quiet, we hear that. We hear the song of our being. We hear the song of the divine. We absolutely are in touch with that center part that is forever still. Ernest says, my possibilities are as limitless as the infinite in which I live and which lives in me. My possibilities are infinite. We can go oh so far beyond our limited belief of who we are and what we are. Our possibilities are infinite. From that core, that essence, the truth of who we are stretches into the infinite. The infinite is not linear. It is multi-phased. And we are empowered by that essence to be and do more than we could ever imagine. When I was looking for relevant thoughts and ideas on this topic, I went back to my favorite, Mark Napon. I love Mark Napon. And he talks about eyeing and mying. He says, and this is his quote, his poetry, the shore thirsts, but does not own the ocean that keeps it soft. So too, the heart and all it loves. So the essence of the divine keeps our hearts soft, keeps us longing for an understanding of the depth of the spirit. He continues, in the ancient Indian language Pali, which is the source of the language of Buddhism. The word ahamkara means eyeing, having or making the feeling of I, the individual. The word mamakara means mying, having or making the feeling of mine. In Buddhism, the feeling of eyeing and mying are considered so dangerous and poisonous that they are seen as a cause for spiritual disease. This tells us that as soon as we start to separate what cannot be separated, our mental health will suffer. As soon as we start to separate what cannot be separated, our mental health starts to suffer. This tells us that the dearest thing in life cannot be owned, but only shared. In truth, we share the mystery called life, the way sea creatures share the ocean. What each fish has, its nest and small patch of bottom, none can live without the deep that flows through them all. We are no different. Yes, we can own a watch or a car, but no one can own the love or peace or energy of life that must flow through our hearts if we are to survive. As soon as we devote ourselves to eyeing and mying, we are drawn into a life of distraction for what really matters. As soon as we devote ourselves to eyeing and mying, we are drawn into a life of distraction from what really matters. Once we commit to making things mine, we unleash a career of gathering and storing. Now there is the need to wall in and to maintain. Now there is an endless sorting through the things, the world that could be mine. Now the attaining. Now the ensuring. Now there is possessiveness and jealousy and envy and the need to protect and the right to bear arms. Now there is the secret want to get what others have and the right to sue. The eyeing and meing can sicken the strongest soul. It often contaminates how we love. How many times have we asked lovers for the reassurance, are you mine? I struggle not to have things, but to make good use of them, not to guard and parcel out my care, but to let the love through. I am, that is for sure. But what is truly mine, beyond this vibrant sense of being alive, that I am keeping open to? What is truly mine? And it is all truly mine. All of the life that can flow through our hearts. That's what's truly mine. And so when I try to separate it out, when I try to declare ownership, when I try to make things mine, I am stepping outside that universal wholeness. I separate myself out. And I can only do that in my own mind because it is not true. There is no truth in the separation. It's some kind of weird conjecture that I call forth. Some game that I play with myself. Some game that I play with that divine essence. I separate myself from the truth of who I am. And it causes me disease, as the Buddhists say. It caused me mental illness because it has no truth, it has no fact. say, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. And the yes, but is there is nothing else besides God. It is all only that one essence. And I can rest in that. I can crawl into it. I can go into the core of who I am and rest in my spiritual knowing that I am it. That there is nothing outside of it. There are no borders, there are no boundaries. There is no lack, there is no limit, except by our own conjecture, our own eyeing and mying. The sickness of our society, the sickness of our humanity, of the eyeing and mying. So from A Design for Living, Ernest says, right now we are as much of the spiritual reality as we ever will be, although we will be continually becoming more aware of it. We are all the incarnations of God. God is what we are. God is not lost, and nor can we ever be. We never need to prepare to meet our God. We are meeting him every day. Whatever language you choose to use as far as him, God, the divine. We don't have to prepare to meet that essence because we are meeting it every day. And in the stillness of our quiet time, we are interacting with that is. We are meeting our Maker every moment. We don't have to prepare for it. We don't have to redeem ourselves from our sins. We have only to go within and to acknowledge our divinity and to celebrate our divinity and let our divinity percolate out from that essence, that core that is never touched. We are not only and merely human beings having a human experience on earth, or even spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience right here in the world of form. There's only one thing going on. There's only one thing going on. It's God. So how do you use that for yourself? How do you make that the truth for you and in a way that works for you? It is the setting aside of the eyeing and the mying. It is to absolutely see that we call the namaste within every human being that we encounter, within everything we encounter. All things. The lectern, the beautiful trees, the water. It's all that essence. We're not separated from it. Sometimes in the quiet, when I'm working one-on-one with people, there's something magic and unimaginable that happens. All of their edges, all of their boundaries seems to disappear. And there's a sort of a sparkliness about them that meets with my sparkliness. And that's really the truth of how it actually is. We have no boundaries. We have no borders within ourselves. Nothing does. And when we look at the world with soft eyes, When we look at the world with soft eyes, we can see that merge. We can see that is borderless, boundless. We can absolutely see that the God in you and the God in me are the same God, the same essence, the same energy. And that's how a payphone can ring. And the call can be for us. It's all a miracle if we allow it to be, and if we acknowledge it. When we acknowledge that miracles happen, more and more miracles show up for us. And I'm telling you the truth. I love each one of you. And I say, from that deep place, that core place, and I speak it from my core to your core. I love each one of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
So, practitioners, they join with me. I allow myself to settle into that core, that space and that place that is never touched, never sullied, never harmed, never injured. That place where I meet all that is. That place where I meet you and you meet me. Without walls, without ownership, without borders. Where our essence intermingles. And I hold my heart open in love, knowing fully that all is well. All is God. It cannot be otherwise. So in any way that I have made up difficulties, challenges, illness, lack, limit, I just step away from that right this moment. And I step into the understanding of my essence, the understanding of your essence. I acknowledge that we are, each one of us, sparkling entities of the divine, without borders and without boundaries. And from that place, I know there are no problems, there are no challenges, there are no difficulties, there are no lacks or limits. We are all that is. And I just acknowledge that as we recognize that, our whole essence expands into the infinite, fully and completely and joyfully. And so with deep, rich gratitude, I allow myself to watch that with a sweet knowing of the truth of it. I allow myself on the deepest level to know that all is well. And as I claim that for myself, I invite you to claim it for yourself and for all that belong to this community, all that we wrap our arms around, all that we love. all that we hold sacred. I know it is perfect. So I invite you to own that with me and own